Lena sat alone in her quarters, heart racing with excitement as she stared at the package that had just arrived. Her grandfather, a renowned explorer of uncharted worlds, always sent her fascinating specimens, but this time the containment unit was marked with special warnings. "Whatever you sent me, grandfather, I hope it's worth all this security," she murmured, her blue fingers carefully entering the access code. As an Azurian, Lena stood out among the thousands of species aboard Harmonia Station. Her iridescent blue skin caught the light as she moved, and the delicate gill-like structures along her neck fluttered with each excited breath. At just 20 stellar cycles old, she was one of the youngest xenobiology students at the prestigious Multi-Species Academy. The containment unit hissed open, releasing a puff of preservation gas. Lena peered inside, expecting another plant sample, or maybe mineral formations. Instead, two gleaming black eyes stared back at her. "Stars above," she whispered. The creature was small, no larger than her hand. Its body was covered in obsidian scales that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. 6 limbs ended in delicate claws, and a row of what looked like sensory nodes ran down its spine. Most striking were its jaws, perfectly designed for tearing flesh, with teeth that gleamed like tiny daggers. Instead of cowering in the corner of its container, as most captured wildlife would, the creature tilted its head, studying Lena with unmistakable intelligence. Then, without warning, it scurried up the side of the container and onto her arm. Lena froze, expecting pain, but the creature simply crawled to her shoulder and nuzzled against her neck, making a soft, trilling sound. "Well, you're friendly," she said with relief, cautiously stroking its smooth head. The creature closed its eyes and leaned into her touch. "I think I'll call you Nix. Station regulations required all non-standard life forms to be registered." The next morning, Lena found herself facing Officer Tay, Harmonia's perpetually stern. "Security Chief." "This is highly irregular," Officer Tay said, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence as he scanned the creature with a handheld device. "Personal pets must be from approved species." "Technically, officer, the regulations state that dangerous species are prohibited," Lena countered. "Nix isn't dangerous. Look how gentle she is." As if understanding, Nix curled into a ball on Lena's lap, looking as harmless as possible. Officer Tay's skin shifted from its normal orange to a doubtful yellow. "I'm running her biological markers through our database. If she matches any known predatory species, she'll be relocated to the research containment facility." Lena held her breath as the device processed. After several tense moments, it chimed. "No matches in the database," Officer Tay admitted reluctantly. "But that doesn't mean it's safe. This creature could be from a world we haven't properly catalogued yet." "Please," Lena said. "I'll take full responsibility. My grandfather wouldn't have sent her if she posed a real threat." After making Lena sign multiple liability forms, Officer Tay finally approved the request with a final warning. "Keep it contained, Student Lena. At the first sign of aggressive behavior, it will be removed." Lena was overjoyed, but her happiness was short-lived. Within days, she noticed fellow students giving her a wide berth in the corridors. Nix had doubled in size and now rode constantly on Lena's shoulder, hissing menacingly at anyone who approached. "She's just protective," Lena explained to her increasingly distant friends. "She won't hurt anyone." But Nix's growth continued at an alarming rate. After just 1 week, she was the size of a small earth cat, her teeth noticeably longer and her movements lightning fast. When another student reached to touch Lena's study materials, Nix leaped forward with such speed that the student fell backward in terror. Soon Lena found herself sitting alone in classes, eating alone in the dining hall and walking through corridors that mysteriously emptied at her approach. "Here's just you and me, Nix," she whispered one night, fighting back tears as she read yet another anonymous message asking her to control that monster. The next day brought a new development. The annual exchange program with Earth had brought 20 human students to Harmonia Station, and one of them was assigned as Lena's new lab partner. The human entered the laboratory while Lena was setting up their experiment. He was tall by human standards, with dark hair and eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. "You must be Lena," he said, extending a hand in the human greeting custom. "I'm Jin." "Nix," now almost knee-high to Lena, and sporting what looked suspiciously like armored plates along her back, immediately positioned herself between Lena and the newcomer. She lowered her head and let out a warning hiss that had sent professors scurrying for safety just the day before. Jin didn't flinch. Instead, he lowered himself to one knee, bringing his eyes level with the creature's. "Well, hello to you too," he said calmly. "What an impressive specimen you are." To Lena's astonishment, Nyx stopped hissing. She stretched her neck forward, scenting the air around Jin with quick flicks of her forked tongue. "She likes you," Lena said in disbelief. "That's never happened before, not with anyone but me." Jin stood slowly, still watching Nyx with open fascination. "Fascinating creature," he said, examining her without a trace of fear. "The biological structures remind me of several Earth predators combined. Those heat-sensing pits near the jaw, the articulation of the limbs, even the scale pattern. There are parallels to our most successful hunters." "Everyone else is terrified of her," Lena admitted. Jin smiled. "Humans have a different relationship with predators than most species. We evolved alongside them." He reached slowly toward Nyx, who, to Lena's further amazement, allowed him to stroke her armored head. Sometimes, recognizing the danger is the first step to understanding it. For the first time since Nyx's arrival, Lena felt a spark of hope. Perhaps in this human, she had found not just a lab partner, but someone who could help her understand her increasingly fearsome pet. Director. Zook's office was the largest private room on level 3 of Harmonia Station, with a view of the spinning stars outside. But today the room felt small and stuffy to Lena as she sat across from the stern-faced director. "Another complaint about your pet," Director Zook announced, sliding a tablet across her desk to Lena. "That's 17 this week." Lena's heart sank as she looked at the list. The complaints came from all over the station, professors, maintenance workers, even the kitchen staff. "Director Nyx isn't doing this on purpose," Lena said, her blue fingers nervously tapping against her leg. "She's just growing. I can't control that." "Growing is precisely the problem," Director Zook replied, tapping a command into her desk console. A hologram appeared between them, showing Nyx as she had looked when she first arrived, small enough to fit in Lena's palm. Then the image changed to show Nyx now, the size of a small dog, with armored plates running down her spine and what appeared to be venomous glands bulging beneath her jaw. Her 6 limbs had developed powerful muscles, and her claws looked sharp, enough to cut metal. "The station's veterinary specialist sent this report yesterday," Director Zook continued, bringing up another file. "Nyx's biology suggests apex predator characteristics. Do you understand what that means, student Lena?" Lena nodded slowly. "It means she's designed by evolution to be at the top of a food chain." "And what does that make everything else around?" "Her potential prey," Lena whispered. Director Zook nodded grimly. "Several smaller pets have gone missing from nearby quarters. A Minoki child's flying lizard disappeared from a securely locked habitat. An elder's therapy rodent vanished during the night cycle. There's no proof Nyx took them," Lena protested. "There's also this," Director Zook continued, ignoring her. The hologram shifted to show the hydroponics bay, with several growing beds torn apart and irrigation pipes broken. Equipment in the hydroponics bay was damaged overnight. Security cameras malfunctioned during the incident, but they caught this before going dark. The grainy footage showed a dark shape, moving with frightening speed across the floor. Lena felt sick. The shape did look like Nyx, but she had been asleep at the foot of Lena's bed all night, hadn't she? "The Vordaxian ambassador visited me this morning," Director Zook said, her voice growing more serious. "He quoted ancient texts about shadow hunters that once devastated entire ecosystems on 3 colonized worlds. The descriptions match your pet's developing features too closely to ignore." Lena's hands trembled. "What are you saying?" "He's demanding immediate removal of the creature from Harmonia Station. And as director, I'm inclined to agree with him." Lena felt tears well up in her eyes. "Please, Director, Nyx is all I have here. My family is 7 systems away. I'll keep her in my quarters at all times." "Zelda, this isn't about your feelings, student Lena," Director Zook interrupted. This is about the safety of everyone aboard this station. You have 3 days to make arrangements for your pet's removal, or security will handle it. That's final. Lena stumbled out of the office, her vision blurred by tears. She nearly collided with Jin, who was waiting in the corridor. That bad? He asked quietly. Lena could only nod as they walked back toward the student quarters. They're going. To take her away, she finally managed to say. 3 days. Jin frowned. We're not giving up that easily. Let's see what we can learn about Nix's species. Knowledge is power, especially on a research station. In Lena's quarters, Nix greeted them with a series of chirps that would have seemed cute if not for the rows of razor-sharp teeth displayed with each sound. She had grown again, her shoulder now reaching Lena's knees. I don't understand how she's growing so fast, Lena said, stroking Nix's armored head. And I don't understand why she only lets you and me near her. Jin set up his portable scanner, a device humans often brought from Earth, since their technology sometimes worked differently than standard galactic equipment. Let's find out, he said, beginning his scan. These heat-sensing pits along her jaw are fascinating. They'd allow her to detect prey by body heat alone. Not helping her case as a safe pet, Lena muttered. Jin continued examining Nix, who sat patiently for him in a way she would for no one else. Look at how her scales have changed texture. The ones along her back are hardening into armor, but the ones here along her sides remain flexible. For quick movement, Lena suggested, her scientific curiosity temporarily overcoming her distress. Exactly, Jin said with a smile. She's built for both protection and speed, a perfect hunter. But why does she let us handle her? Why doesn't she see us as prey? Jin thought for a moment. Humans have lived alongside predators for our entire evolutionary history, he explained, while adjusting his scanner to examine Nix's brain structures. We recognize the danger, but we've also learned to respect it. Earth's history is full of apex predators that humans formed bonds with. Wolves became dogs, wildcats became companions. But I'm not human, Lena pointed out. No, but you were the first living being Nix encountered after whatever hibernation or stasis your grandfather's containment unit kept her in. You might have imprinted on her as family rather than food. That night after Jin left, Lena lay awake watching Nix prowl around her small quarters. The creature moved with predatory grace, testing the air with her forked tongue occasionally, scratching at the door. Are you hungry? Lena whispered, though she had already fed Nix twice the recommended protein rations for a creature her size. Nix turned to her, those intelligent black eyes seeming to understand. She made a low rumbling sound in her throat and approached the bed, laying her armored head on the edge of the mattress. Lena gently stroked the smooth scales. I won't let them take you, she promised. We'll figure this out. But as she drifted off to sleep, Lena couldn't ignore the nagging question in her mind. What if the station authorities were right? What if Nix was dangerous in ways Lena couldn't control or even understand? Her dreams were troubled, full of shadowy creatures running through empty station corridors. And when she woke with a start, in the darkest part of the night cycle, Lena reached automatically for the comfort of Nix's presence. Her hand found only empty space. Nix was gone. The station-wide alert blared through every corridor of Harmonia Station, its harsh sound jerking Lena awake from a troubled sleep. Security breach in Residential Section 4. Dangerous creature loose. All residents remain in secured quarters. Lena sat up in panic, her hand automatically reaching for the spot where Nix usually slept. Empty. Cold. The creature had been gone for hours. Her room door slid open as security override protocols activated throughout the station. Officer Tay stood in the doorway, flanked by 2 guards with stun weapons drawn. Where is it? He demanded. I don't know, Lena said truthfully, her voice shaking. I just woke up and she was gone. Officer Tay's face hardened. During routine maintenance, a power failure disabled the containment field in your quarters, but that creature should not have been able to open the door without help. I swear I didn't let her out, Lena protested. The officer's communicator crackled. Sir, we've tracked the target to Maintenance Tunnel B, requesting backup. On my way, Officer Tay replied. He pointed a stern finger at Lena. Stay here. This is now a station security matter. But Lena couldn't just sit and wait. As soon as The security team was gone. She slipped into the corridor, her heart pounding. She had to find Nix before they did. The hallways were eerily empty, with emergency lights casting red shadows across the walls. Announcements continued to echo. All non-security personnel must remain in secured areas. Lena jumped when someone touched her shoulder. She spun around to find Jin standing behind her. "You shouldn't be out here," he whispered. "Neither should." "You," she countered. "I have to find Nix." Jin nodded. "I thought you might try, that's why I came looking for you." A new alert blared through the station. "Attention all security teams. Target is moving towards Central Hub. Approach with extreme caution." Jin's communicator buzzed. He had hacked into the security channel. The grim voice of Officer Tay filled the air. 3 security officers injured. Stun weapons ineffective. Against the creature's exoskeleton. Requesting authorization for lethal measures. "No," Lena gasped. "They're going to kill her." Jin grabbed her hand as tears began streaming down her blue cheeks. "We need to think." "Why would Nix suddenly leave your quarters after weeks of staying close to you?" Lena shook her head helplessly. "I don't know. She's been eating more lately, and she seems restless at night, but—" "Wait," Jin interrupted. "Eating more, restless behavior, increased aggression towards strangers." His eyes widened. "I think I know where Nix is going. Predators this territorial are usually protecting something." "Protecting what?" "Let's find out. But we need to get there before security does." They moved quickly through the station's service corridors, avoiding the security teams. Jin led them to a maintenance access point. "Look," he said, pointing to faint scratches along the ventilation shaft. These weren't made by tools. They followed the trail, climbing through narrow passages that connected the station's different sections. The scratches grew more numerous as they approached the central hub, the heart of Harmonia Station, where the main computer systems were housed. "It's warm here," Jin explained as they crawled through the final passage. The cooling systems for the main computers create a perfect temperature gradient. They emerged into a small chamber filled with humming equipment. The space was dark except for the blinking lights of monitoring systems. "Careful now," Jin whispered. "She'll be highly defensive." They moved slowly between the tall server banks. A low hissing sound came from ahead of them. "Nix?" Lena called softly. "It's me, girl." The hissing stopped. Then a pair of gleaming black eyes appeared in the darkness. Nix had grown even larger, now the size of an earth wolf. Her armored plates had extended to cover most of her body, and the heat-sensing pits along her jaw glowed faintly in the dark. "Easy," Jin murmured. "We're not here to hurt you." Lena took a cautious step forward. "What is she doing down here?" Her eyes adjusted to the dim light, Lena saw what Nix was guarding. In a makeshift nest built from insulation materials and wiring, 7 glistening eggs lay in a perfect circle. Each was about the size of Lena's fist, with a translucent shell that pulsed with a soft inner light. "She's a mother," Lena whispered in awe. "Or about to be." Jin nodded. "That explains everything. The increased appetite, the aggressive behavior, the missing pets. She was gathering protein to produce eggs." Nix watched them warily, her powerful body coiled protectively around her clutch. When Lena took another step closer, the creature let out a warning growl. "She doesn't recognize me," Lena said, hurt. Jin looked back at her. "These creatures aren't mindless monsters. They're complex beings with their own social structures and intelligence. If you kill them, you lose the opportunity to understand an entirely new species, possibly one that could become an ally rather than a threat." The Admiral's forearms crossed in a gesture of deep thought. "And who would manage these dangerous allies?" Jin smiled. "Humans have some experience in that department." 2 months passed since that tense standoff in the central hub. The station had changed in many ways since then, but none more dramatic than the creation of the Xenopredator research facility that now occupied an expanded section of Harmonia's science wing. Lena straightened her new uniform, dark blue with silver trim, marking her as part of the special research team. She still couldn't believe how quickly things had changed. After Jin's demonstration with Nix, Admiral Hannah had granted them a 2-week trial period instead of immediate termination. Those 2 weeks had turned into a permanent program, when the results proved impossible to ignore. Behind the reinforced observation glass, Jin moved through a training session with Nyx. The creature had reached her full adult size, standing as tall as Jin's waist, her armored body sleek and powerful. Her 6 legs moved with perfect coordination as she followed Jin through a complex obstacle course. "Perfect," Jin said, offering Nyx a treat from his hand, a protein cube specially formulated for her unique biology. "Now, guard position." Nyx immediately took up a stance beside Jin, her senses alert, scanning the room for potential threats. Lena smiled as she checked the monitors, displaying the vital signs of the 5 surviving hatchlings. 2 of the eggs had failed to develop properly, but the remaining 5 had hatched 6 weeks ago. The young creatures were already the size of small cats, their personalities distinct and developing rapidly. "They're all healthy," she reported to Jin as he exited the training area. "Growth rates consistent with our projections," Jin nodded, his face showing the satisfaction of a project going well. Just in time for our visitors, the facility door slid open, admitting Admiral Hana and a group of dignitaries from various species and stations. Their expressions ranged from curiosity to obvious discomfort at being so close to creatures that had become somewhat legendary in the short time since the incident. "Welcome to the Xenopredator Research Facility," Lena greeted them formally. Vordaxian ambassador, the same one who had demanded Nyx's removal months earlier, peered anxiously through the glass. "These are the shadow hunters? They seem smaller than described in our ancient texts. We believe your ancestors encountered a related species," Jin explained. "We've tentatively named Nyx's kind stellar raptors based on their adaptations. For space travel." "Space travel?" a Tellurian scientist asked, her antenna twitching with interest. Lena activated a holographic display showing scans of Nyx's internal biology. Their bodies can enter a form of stasis during adverse conditions. The eggs are designed to survive extreme cold, radiation, and vacuum. We believe they evolved to hitch rides on asteroids or comets between star systems, nature's own interstellar travelers. Behind the glass, Jin had returned to the training area. The dignitaries watched in amazement as Nyx performed a complex sequence of behaviors at his commands. She leaped over barriers, identified specific objects by scent, and even demonstrated problem-solving skills by navigating a puzzle to reach a hidden reward. Humans evolved alongside predators, eventually becoming apex predators ourselves, Jin explained to the visiting dignitaries as he rejoined them. "We understand the predatory mind because part of us still thinks the same way." A Centaurian minister shook her head in disbelief. "No other species would consider keeping such creatures as companions." "That's what makes humans unique in the galactic community," Lena said. "Where others see only danger, humans see possibility." Admiral Hana, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke. 3 other stations have reported similar species discoveries. They're requesting human handlers. The news sent a ripple of surprise through the room. Even Jin looked taken aback. "Already?" he asked. Admiral Hana nodded reluctantly. "It seems these creatures are more widespread than we realized. A research vessel found a clutch of eggs on an asteroid passing through the Proxima system. Another station discovered an adult specimen hiding in their cargo bay after a supply run." "And they want humans to handle them?" Lena asked. After seeing the results here, yes. The Admiral gestured to the training area, where Nyx waited patiently for Jin's return. "Your success is undeniable." One of the dignitaries, a Meridian with shimmering crystal-like skin, stepped forward. "My people have always feared the darkness between stars. We see space as a cold void to be crossed quickly, but perhaps we have been blind to the life that has evolved to thrive there." Lena returned to the observation window, watching as the 5 young stellar raptors played in their specially designed habitat. They were learning hunting behaviors already, practicing stalking and pouncing on each other, with a grace that was both beautiful and deadly. "Perhaps we've discovered a new role for humans in the galactic community," she said thoughtfully. "Bridging the gap between civilized space and the wilderness that still exists between stars." Jin joined her at the window. "It's funny how things work out. Humans spent centuries thinking we'd find our place among the stars, as explorers or scientists or diplomats. Instead, you're becoming known as the species who befriends monsters, Admiral Hana said, with just the hint of dry humor in her voice. Not monsters, Jin corrected gently. Just creatures that other species haven't learned to understand yet. Inside the habitat, Nix had sensed their attention. The adult stellar raptor approached the observation window, those intelligent black eyes, studying the gathered crowd. She seemed to focus on Lena, holding the Azurian's gaze for a long moment. Then, as if understanding the conversation about her kind's future, Nix turned her obsidian gaze toward Lena, then gently nudged one of her offspring toward the glass, the smallest of the five, with distinctive blue-tinged markings along its spine. The young raptor placed a six-clawed foot against the transparent barrier, directly opposite Lena's blue hand. "I think she's chosen a handler for this one," Jin said with a smile. Lena felt tears in her eyes as she looked at the young creature that seemed to recognize her even through the barrier. "When I opened that containment unit from my grandfather, I never imagined that you'd help forge a new understanding between species," Jin finished for her. Admiral Hana made a note on her tablet. "I'll begin drafting protocols for human stellar raptor handling teams. We'll need training programs, specialized containment systems, legal frameworks." As the officials began discussing logistics, Lena remained at the window, watching the young raptor that had seemingly chosen her. The creature followed her movements with keen interest, mimicking her gestures in what could only be described as play. "They really do choose us, don't they?" she asked Jin quietly. Jin nodded. "Throughout human history, that's how it's always worked. We don't truly tame predators, we form partnerships with them. They choose to work with us as much as we choose to work with them. And now we'll do the same among the stars," Lena said, feeling a sense of wonder at how her small pet had opened the door to something so much bigger. In the habitat, Nix called her offspring back with a soft chirping sound. The young raptors obediently returned to their mother's side, all except the blue-tinged one, who maintained its position near Lena for a moment longer before reluctantly rejoining its siblings. Lena knew then that this story was just beginning. Once feared throughout the station, Nix and her kind were now pointing the way toward a new understanding between species, and a special role for humans that no one could have predicted.